Doom and Gloom CGA. Doom and Gloom CGA brought to you by the... All right, let's get into it. What we got here? Doom and Gloom CGA. All right, I have an ad on my screen. Let's talk about this right here. Political climate getting really, really aggressive. And a lot of people are losing their cotton picking minds with this election coming up here. We have less than what? How many days do we have coming up here? Something like 7 days or 9 days or whatever it is. Democratic organizer, her name is Jordan Bowen. She faces backlash for screaming at a child during a chameleon rally. And we'll talk about Kamala's latest rally. It kind of fell on, not too good. But there's a viral video of her yelling at a child at a Kamala rally. There you see her there. Definitely on the Millie Mouth Muskrat side. All right, or the stock factory issue side right there. But, you know, stock factory issue white women, they can still get it. They can get this work. And there she is there with her pigtails on. And let's go ahead and review the video of what she's getting in trouble about here, right about here. Oh, no. All right, the political climate gets like this sometimes, man, and people get irrational. But as you can see, there she is right there looking like every white girl that woke up in the morning. All right, here she comes right here. And she's upset with this gentleman in the blue. But this girl right here, the little baby girl right there, looks like that mean girl in the back. And here she comes yelling at this poor girl right here. Look at that. That's terrible.
Oh, the humanity.
All right. And even these two black lesbian matters, all right, women, all right, they definitely look like bull daggers. They even are appalled at her behavior. All right. And one of the Lily Lintlickers pulls her back. Look at a Lily Lintlicker like, bitch, is you crazy? That's a kid. Look at this, man. That's a baby, she says. All right. Shout out to the Black Lesbian Matters. All right. I didn't think they would actually have any level of integrity here. All right, but the Lily Lintlicker came in and was like, bruh, you going too far, Kaylee. All right, you going a little too far. You must have sniffed 2 lines of coca. All right, you went too far with this shit. So shout out to this sister right here for saving the day. I mean, that's terrible, man, but this political climate is getting like this. And some people are laughing about it, but that's over the top, man. I mean, that... The baby did not deserve to get yelled at. I mean, the baby doesn't have any political affiliation. This is how crazy we've gone here. But of course, this is to be expected from people that side with Kamala Harris. They like to kill babies. I mean, it is what it is. That's literally, hey guys, that's literally their main objective is to kill babies. Like that's the #1 issue they're running on. We want to kill our babies. I mean, I'm just letting you know. So this is pretty much par for the course. I mean, so they see babies as killable. Like they want to sacrifice their babies to the nanny goat. So this is not any surprise here. Oh, she tried to kick her out. Oh, damn, she's still. All right, now, let me just say this. Why does that man have a baby out there? I mean, that's the next one. Why does that man have a baby out there? As we know, I always think people are cowards that hide behind kids. And that might be possibly why he got that kid out there. So why do you have a child out at a political event? I don't know what event it is, so I can't tell you why if the child belongs out there, but probably not the best place to bring a child. All right, I'm going to tell you that. All right, Kaylee zooted, man. Kaylee, get off the coca or the antidepressant medication. You're a little bit goofy. All right, but yeah, man, yelling at children. But it's the Democrats. It's the Democrats. All right, Stragos Nickel Theater. It looks like my Instagram is tripping. All right, it doesn't want me to play the video. All right, but apparently, okay, we'll move on to the next one. All right, Stragos Nickel Theater. Kamala Harris to appear on the Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp officially kissing the nanny goat. All right, the nanny goat here. Shout out to Shannon Sharp.
New world order.
All right, Kamala Harris. And I did have a clip, a little bit of a preview of this one here. But as you guys can see, YouTube is the number one streaming platform in the world.
New
All right,
world
and these
order.
presidential candidates are using these, I call them comedic podcasts. These podcasts are not serious political podcasts. We know Charlemagne the God is a whole clown. All right, and he's a political operative, and he been paid. But she's appeared on The Breakfast Club. Any podcast she's appeared on, she's did absolutely 100% horribly. But she's gonna go to Club Shay Shay right there, and you know, he had the video that came out, so maybe he doesn't want some Diddy videos to come out. I have no idea. But shout out to Shannon Sharp, no jealousy here. He's also had to address some rumors. I think he certainly is a Kamala supporter. Now, these appearances on podcasts, most of these now can be described as softball. I mean, even when we're going to get to Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, most of these are really useless at this point. I mean, but it does show the importance of the podcast and how they play in our modern world today, because the traditional journalism is essentially dead. They've all been bought and paid for. You already have people politically spinning things. You have Anderson Cooper saying he's not a journalist, but he's been portraying a journalist. Rachel Maddow said the same thing. And even Fox News. I mean, all of these people are just shills for their own party. Now, the podcasts are now going to play a bigger role in that as well. Only thing is that Kamala Harris has not done well on the podcasts. All right, so she's begged and pleaded for other podcast appearances, and she's been denied. Then she had to go on Call Her Daddy, which was not her best look. And then she eventually went on several more, and now she's going to go on Shannon Sharp. I'm looking forward to see what she does here in the last few days of her election. From what we know, before they start cheating, her campaign is declining. All right, this should be a grand slam sweep of Kamala Harris. But, of course, these last couple of weeks can change the entire trajectory of the election, for sure. All right, but with that being said, Donald J. Trump appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience this past weekend. And listen, all right, in comparison to the Kamala Harris's appearances on podcasts, Donald Trump has done pretty well on this podcast, although I will admit, although he did great job of being himself, he was unchallenged in this podcast. All right, but let me just show you right here. All right, there were nothing challenging that Joe Rogan said to him. But as you can see, 33 million podcast views, according to the YouTube. But if you actually search this up and put Joe Rogan Trump, this podcast won't come up. Most of it are the reviews of the podcast. You might have to go on the actual Joe Rogan channel. And there were some good moments there. But I want to tell you, most of these podcasts, including Donald Trump, who's appeared on Aiden Ross, he's appeared with, I can't remember these other guys' names. It's another comedian. I can't remember his name. He's like a Puerto Rican, who-ish. But he also was on Joe Rogan for 3 hours, and he didn't miss a beat. He didn't skip a beat, which I think is going to be the difference between Harris and Trump. Kamala Harris has only done like 45 minutes. She's been unchallenged, except for the 60 minutes clip. And it was highly edited. With the podcast, they're less than edited. I don't think Kamala can do 3.5 hours and be genuine and be authentic. And that's where she's going to miss. So whatever she's trying to do with Shannon Sharp, I'm really curious to see how long she's able to get up there, what she has to say, and if she can be authentic. Andrew Schultz, that's the guy. What I call him, a Puerto Rican, who-ish? Yes. But I think what happens is, even though the interviews are easy for Kamala, she still doesn't come out very good and authentic. And I think that's what the podcast form is. And I know people are critical for going on these podcasts because they're like, these people aren't journalists. They're handing softball questions out. Even Joe Rogan really didn't challenge Donald Trump in the portion of the interview that I saw. I saw about 1.5 hours, 2 hours of it. And I will watch the rest of it. But Trump was being authentic. Kamala Harris struggles being authentic. Now, you guys know that court jesters, comedians have always been a part of the political landscape. And this is what you have to know about your history. This is why you have to know your history. Name the job that someone had that has always been a part of either a monarchy, a feudalism society, all right? Not feudalism, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Name the job that has always been there. This person has always been a part of the kingdom, the political landscape. It has always been that, and people don't realize that the podcast is now serving as this. So they're modern day court jesters. All right. And court jesters were comedians essentially they were able to come out and publicly criticize the monarchy, right? Or the politicians and get a pass. Fiefdoms is what I meant, not feudalisms. But anyway, fiefdoms. So court jesters have always been able to be critical of the decision-making of the crown, the decision-making of the leadership, and they get a pass for it. Today, we still have the same thing. So the podcast is essentially the same thing. And most podcasts that these people have appeared on have not been very serious. All right, they haven't been serious. Joe Rogan is probably the most serious of these podcasts, but he's like a kind of a conspiracy theorist, independent person. The rest of these people are comedians. So what they do is lighten the load of the person, the political figure, or the king, or the queen, if that for that manner, and they're not supposed to be taken as serious. So that's the importance of the podcast at this point. So if anybody wants these people to hammer them down with hard questions and pepper them about their policies, that is not the purpose of the podcast. That is not the purpose of the court gesture or any of these comedians. It is basically to see how authentic the person is and maybe criticize them to the extent to make it humorous, to make them relate. So jokers, court gestures have always been a part of the political landscape, and we have modern day court gestures as well. George Carlin, Paul Mooney, Chris Rock, any of these people that have gotten to the political side and made hard claims against other people in a funny way. So that's all it is. Anyway, shout out to all of these podcasts. I'm a podcaster myself, so I'm really glad to see that this side of this side of the platform has done well and now gotten some political figures. All right, political. Yeah. All right, Joe Rogan. Yeah, he was a comedian. He's a comedian. So yeah, I mean, you know, but most of his podcast is kind of funny, but he gets into serious topics. In fact, we'll end with the last one, this serious topic that I've actually talked about quite a bit. The number one symptom of depression, and I played this clip before or a portion of this show. Let's play this right here.
Wow. You know, I never really considered that until your book. Until I heard the title of your book and I read the synopsis of it, I never really considered it. I never considered that thinking about your problems all the time and talking about your problems all the time literally make the problems grow.
That's right. I mean, it's the number one symptom of depression is what they call rumination, this pathological obsessing over your pain.
Yeah.
I played this woman before on this podcast. All right, this is important. This is a very important subject matter right there. We're starting to get a lot of people to dwell on their past, unpack their trauma. This woman went into great detail, if you want to find the longer version of this, and somebody could say her name, about actually unpacking your past and your trauma and ruminating about past issues actually are counterproductive. Although people want to make it seem like it's productive, but it's counterproductive. And the data actually shows that these people are finessing you by making you live in the past and not going forward. Unpacking certain things. Sometimes you don't need the answers to shit, right? You don't need the answers. You don't need to understand why. Sometimes it's better to move on.
Yeah.
That's why stuff like exercise, that's one of the reasons, aside from chemical reasons, one of the reasons that doing anything, you know that running errands is good for your mental health? Getting out of your house and accomplishing anything is good for you. But sitting around talking and thinking about your problems, that's a bad habit. And the best cognitive behavioral therapists and others, you know, the dialectical behavioral therapists, the ones who do really well with depression, the first thing they do is try to break that that bad pattern. But a lot of therapists just indulge it.
Ooh, wait. Facts.
New world order.
Facts. And you know why they indulge in it? Because you're the goddamn customer. That's why. All right.
New world order.
You're the customer. All right. So they want you to dwell on it so they can continue to come in and you give them a lot of information and more information than they need. They're kind of like modern day palm readers where they read things. You get the more information you give them, the more they can go dive deeper into shit. And then you dwell on it. Now, we always tell you, drink your water, get out and exercise. She says, run your errands, do some goddamn push-ups. All right. That doesn't mean you're going to be cured from feeling bad about things. eat well, go to sleep, wake up at a proper day, get some circadian rhythm going. All right, have some things, the minimal things that you need to do to be good, progress. These things are going to help you out way more immensely than unpacking your past. All right, but of course, the rapists will tell you otherwise. They'll tell you the otherwise. So be cognizant of this. Don't just depend on unpacking your past and your trauma. I think it is a weak position. My position is I'm always going to say it's a weaker position to take. All right. And you're probably not going to, it's going to take you years to recover as opposed to getting in the best shape of your life. All right. That could happen in relatively short order, several months. Okay. Getting outside, doing things instead of dwelling on the victim mindset and all of that stuff. But that's just me. But I also said Joe Rogan handles tough, not just comedic conversation. He handles tough conversations as well. And that's an example of one. That's Doom and Gloom CGA.